Jimmy, tricky conditions, a few changes, good solid 2-0 win.
Yeah, if you had offered that to me on the way here, I would have snapped your hand off. It's always a difficult place to come when you consider we've made 6 changes. Don't get me wrong, all strong boys come into the team, and any one of them's got an argument to be starting. But when you make 6 changes, sometimes it can knock you. And it's more the players who are not in the team, or the 5 left in the team today, drop off, but they didn't. It was efficient. I think Rushall, I'll look back to that chance had at the end of the second half, the second phase of a corner, defended it in the first phase, good again, and didn't do our jobs again. It's a bit of a trend that is quite worrying. They had a chance there, but I think other sides, they had a few halfies, but we've had a lot of good chances there as well, without being vintage. Spalding United would call it, but without being vintage, we've had a lot of good chances there, and we probably should have put it to bed before we did.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's a lot of possession, a lot of time on the ball, a lot of chances. Even though they've made a lot of changes, it never really looks at any doubts. So I suppose that's testament to the lads that have come in and made a contribution. Yeah,
they adjusted tactically really well as well. We thought they was going to start with a 4-2-3-1, and they flipped it to a diamond today. Which is a completely different press, a completely different structure, and they dealt with it on the pitch very well. I thought we started really, really brightly. They came back into it a little bit, but like I say, we should be disappointed when it took a few more of them chances.
A few players that possibly started previously on the bench, a few that weren't in the squad, a few injuries flying around at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a couple of injuries. Macca come off last week, and Jack Roberts come off last week with injuries. I think Robbo, we're probably looking at 3 or 4 weeks, which is disappointing in the big scheme of things because, he's it's not just the FA Cup game next week. There's big league games coming up, and he's obviously been a big player for us. So we'll miss Jack over the next month, and Josh McCammon, we'll probably look at another 2 or 3 weeks for him as well. Like I say, it's disappointing. Manny's come in for Macca today. We can focus on that, and he's got 2 great goals. I think Manny was man of the match for me today. A really outstanding output with and without the ball. So, but we focus on the controllables, and big week getting ready now.
Yeah, another cup game. Whilst it might not be the one that everyone's focus is on, it's a good one to progress, prize money, and opportunity of a couple of bigger teams in the later rounds.
Yes, it's not the one that people focus on now, but I tell you what, you get 2 free wins in this. It starts to get exciting. Some big clubs come into it, and sometimes, depending on what they're doing in the league, they might play a weak inside. So there's lots of opportunity further down the road. But look, we've got to get there. It was another step for the opponent. They started really well. I think I look back 3 or 4 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were second in the league. They've had a little bit of a fall off. They've got a great manager. They play the right way, and I'm sure they'll pick up pretty quickly.
And I suppose this week's fully focused on Saturday, as you always do, and preparing as you usually do, but a big game that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can honestly say I ain't looked at them twice. I've looked at them once, but I ain't looked at them twice since the draw. Because I knew after today we'd have a week prep. So we'll look at this tomorrow. I won't go too hard on this. It was what it was. And then we'll look at them, and we'll try and make a plan to go there and give us a chance. The club couldn't have done any more. It's got us a coach up there, and it's got us a stay over for the night. So I thank the club for doing that. And we'll get a plan together. We'll see if we can get fit and get on the pitch and give it a real go.
Lots of travelling fans, a full supporters coach, lots of people having a weekend in Newcastle. I suppose your message to them is come and get behind them as you usually do, make some noise and give us that little edge.
Yeah, look, we're going to give it everything. We can't get away from the fact. I don't know how they got on today, but before today they played 11 games, won 9, drew 2, lost 0, including the league. They're top of the National League North, full time. The management really know what they're doing as well. They're great football inside. So, but it's a real challenge. But the stakes are high. We've got good players here, and if they beat us, it'll be because they're better than us. And we can't argue with that. It won't be because we've gone up there and we ain't tried and we've had our bellies tickled. We've rolled over and had our bellies tickled. If they beat us, it's because they're better than us. So. It's not a day out. It's a game with high stakes, high reward, and like I say, we'll give it absolutely everything.